Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Rainy, this is the Enchanted Planner, and today we are doing a Canva tutorial update. I've had a number of requests, so I'm going to break this into a series where it is bite-sized, step-by-step, no fluff. So today we're going to update the boxes tutorial. I'm going to come up here to create design. Now, custom size is next. Up here you can type in the width and the height. You just need to change this from pixel to inches. If you're using this for Cricut print and cut, you need it to be 6.75 by 9.25. If you're planning on printing this out for yourself, I would probably use 8.5 by 11 if you're printing and cutting yourself. We're going to use the 6.75 by 9.25. Blank canvas. Coming over here to elements in the far left, we come to lines and shapes, and we're going to select the box. Then I'm going to close this drawer and we're going to zoom in a bit so we can get up close and personal here. All right, so we have a purple box. I don't know why it's purple, but I always don't mind, it's purple. Okay, up here in the top, we have the shape, we have the color of the box, and then the next one is border style. Select border style. You can round the corners if you'd like by dragging that. You can also do the border weight by sliding the slider. I just usually type in 8 because I like that for a border size. Now we want to change the inside color of the box to white. So coming up here to the solid, you can choose white if it exists. If not, you can type it in the search bar and it will bring up white for you. And there we go. Now, let's get that drawer closed. We need to size this boy. You'll notice there are points on the corners that you can drag. There are sliders on the top and the bottom you can drag. We're going to use the sliders and we're going to take it to 1.5 across. And we're going to take it to 2.5 high, because that is the size of a standard Happy Planner vertical box with no fancy stuff, just a basic. And then we're going to select it and we're going to duplicate it. Now you can do this by hitting Control D on your keyboard. I don't know what it is for a Mac. I'm used to working on HP, but you can also hit the plus sign. And then we're going to put it right beside his friend. And now the great thing is when we hit duplicate again, it will automatically plunk it into place equal distance from the one before it, which makes it nice and easy to duplicate things. So now to duplicate it all, we're going to hit duplicate or highlight them all and then hit duplicate, plunk them down in line as well. And now when we hit duplicate, it just plunks them in. So that is the easiest and fastest way to create an entire sheet of the same size box. Oops, that's not what I want to do. What I want to do is get rid of the majority of those guys. And we're going to get rid of these two, because now we're going to talk about the different size boxes Happy Planner makes. So we have our standard vertical. The next one in line is the 1.5 by 1.5, which is the square. The one after that, now you'll notice these numbers that in purple that pop up between, that tells me that I have them equally distanced apart. The next box, I'm going to make a size 1 inch, and the next one is going to be a 0.7, and the one after that is the skinny box, which is 0.5. That's our skinny. Additionally, Happy Planner also has a couple of other size boxes, the double box being one. The double box is 2.5 inches high by 3 inches wide. And that will make your double box. We also have our vertical sidebar boxes. Now, the vertical sidebar boxes are about 5 inches long for the basic one. And then if you want to make the one that goes the entire length of the sidebar, it is, bear with me for a second, I've drawn a blank. I think it's 7 inches. I think I'll leave all of the exact measurements down below in the description. So please take a look down there. But I think it's 7 inches long is the full sidebar box. Okay, so now We have boxes, that's great, but they're all the same color. And maybe we don't want them to be black. We're going to change the color on them. So by clicking on the box and coming up here to the middle where it says border color, this opens up again the color drawer. And you've got a couple of options here. You can type in the color. You can use the color area, brain fart, can't remember what it's called, excuse me, to determine a color in here by moving across the bottom and then changing the hues by using the slider. You can also pull color from another element. We're going to go deeper into using additional elements and grouping elements in the next tutorial. But for now, I'm going to show you how you can pull color from an element you're already using. So clicking on the box, let's close this drawer, and going back up here to the color palette, we're going to open this up. And then down the bottom, we have this little eyedropper. We can just hover over anywhere on here. Oops, I didn't want the middle. I want this. And then we can go back and we're going to hover over the florals to pick up that color pink. And that is the easiest way to bring color from an element you're already using into the mix. So, oops, get rid of you. So you can pull color and have everything coordinate quite nicely. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is the possibility that maybe you don't want just plain, boring, old boxes. There's nothing in them. Coming back up here to elements, we're going to go into lines and shapes, and we're going to select the line. And we're going to zoom in here a bit so we can get a better vantage point. So let's bring this vertical line up to this double box and get him centered. Perfect. Now that line is a bit thick and I don't want him that thick. So coming back up here, we have the line color. You can change the color if you'd like. I can make it pink if I want, or else keep it black or what have you, or gray even, whatever fancy you like. The next one over is the line style. And this is where we're going to change the line weight. I like them fairly thin, but I mean, you can easily do them any way you'd like by using the slider or just typing in numbers, like maybe a number 2. Yeah, that's a bit much. I'd rather stick with a 1. All right, so now we're going to duplicate that line. And we're going to line it up again so it's equal distance underneath the one on top of it. And it's centered in the box, because from now, all we need to do, why aren't you lining up properly? Canva's been a little bit finicky lately. Let's get you back, I guess, centered. Okay, there we go. Now, let's plunk this guy. Yes, okay, now I think we're good. Okay, so I was just off by a margin, so it didn't recognize the parameters I'd set out. But you just keep duplicating, and now you have a lined box. The problem being is we have one thing we need to do, and that is group these layers, because the lines consist of one layer, and the box itself is a secondary layer. So we're going to highlight all of it, and then hit group. Because now I can move the box as one unit. Whereas if it's not grouped and I go to move the box, the lines don't come with it. Let's regroup those. Okay, another thing you can do, which I actually quite like doing, is adding dot grid into my boxes and whatnot. So we're going to go into graphics and type in dot grid, and we're going to select one of these. Now, this is quite large. We obviously don't need it that large, but we're going to size it down to make it, better sized for the vertical box. And let's close that drawer. And then let's get that centered. And then we're going to duplicate it and put it right underneath. Let's zoom in a tiny bit more so I can see what we're lining up here. But if you'll notice, it's too big for the box. So what we need to do is crop this. So we're going to double click on it, which gives us the ability to drag the actual image up to crop it. And now it is the right size and it fits in the box. But again, we need to highlight this, all of it, in order to group it so it can move as one box. Now, the other thing I'm going to mention here is, say you wanted to duplicate this particular box because it's already been set up with all the dot grid in it. You have to highlight all the layers, then hit duplicate. Otherwise, because if you just hit this, it won't duplicate the box. You've got to highlight all of the layers in order to do so. Okay, let's get our double box back over here and put our other friend back here so it all looks nice and pretty. And there's my little numbers telling me where I am centered or not. Okay, and now let's zoom out so we can have a little bit better of a look. Ooh, my line didn't go with the box. I missed one. I missed one when I highlighted. That's okay, we'll get him in there. He's a little bit askew. Hold on, let's fix that. All right, let's get him the same distance apart. There we go. Now I should be able to group all of it and it's all one unit. Very good. Okay, so in short, this is the quickest and the easiest way to make boxes for yourself in Canva. Now, if you're planning on importing these into Cricut as a print and cut, you do not need to do anything else because each of the boxes has a border. The machine will read that and it will cut appropriately around the box. It's a little bit different if you're doing it yourself, but we come up here to share and we're going to hit download. Now, if you're importing into Cricut, you want to hit transparent background and download a PNG. Then import that image into Cricut for print and cut. If you're printing and cutting yourself, select PDF standard or PDF print. Standard is fine. The PDF print just means that there's a richer quality because we're working in CMKY instead of RGB for your color tones, but it doesn't matter. The PDF is pretty good quality. So that's what I would usually stick with and suggest. The other thing I don't know if I mentioned at the beginning of this is don't use the app. Canva has an app, but it sucks. It is impossible to size things in there because it won't actually show you any of the numbers. It's kind of janky, to be honest with you. Work on the desktop. For anything you're going to do in Canva, work on the desktop. It's a far more intuitive, happy user experience overall. Okay, that's a wrap, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. If you're new to the channel, drop us a comment down below letting us know you're new so we can formally welcome you to our community. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.